the 53-man roster. I know when you saw that 53-man yesterday or 2 days ago, you brought back some memories of your first cut down day when they finally put the final roster on the bulletin board.
You know what? Being somebody who was drafted in the second round, I didn't really think too much about cuts. I just didn't. And I always felt like everything I did out there to perform, my mindset was I was going to make it. I was going to make it. So I don't think there was any time that I had any thought that I was going to get cut. Like I said, I went out and did a job. But I will say that some of the bulletin board, it's a little tough. It's watching, some of your guys, man, that you're seeing the names of people leaving. And I tell you what, another thing too, what's really eerie is the amount of like space that you have. I think it's really where it sets in. The reality is like the space when you come in the locker room, like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. There's a whole lot of people not here. Like, what's going on? Everybody, did I come here too early or what's the deal? Where's everybody at? And then you start realizing when it sinks in, wow, this guy's not here. He didn't make it. And then you start just looking around the locker room. You start seeing a lot of the faces didn't make it. Some guys leave out of town before you get to say bye. And it's a tough time. It's a tough time for guys. So the adulation goes into, you're glad that you made the 53-man roster. You see the guys like, that guy made it. Like, oh man, congratulations. And then there's also that feeling, like that devastation of the gravity of knowing somebody, didn't make it. And, their lives have been changed, and the disappointment that they had to go through. It's a tough time, man. It's a tough time. So, I remember those days. I do. I remember those days, like the emptiness of the locker room, not having the people around, but also, too, practice. I'm going to tell you what happens in practice. You start realizing, oh, man, I got to take more reps in practice because you got to get ready. But it's like, okay, now the real deal's coming out now, right? Because then before, when you had, I don't like using camp bodies, but when you start having players in there, and guys are trying to get their look on things, you can kind of sit back a little bit. You get your quality rep that you need, and then you could come, put your hat on and chill out and just kind of watch some of the younger guys, the guys who are trying to make the team. And that's entertaining in itself because you get to do an evaluation in your head about who can make it and who's not going to be able to make it. So, man, I remember all those days. I do. I remembered it vividly, just living through it. Man, it's a good time. It's a tough time. And it's crazy because I'm sitting over here. So on my desk, I don't know if everybody can see us, but I have a big poster of my 2004 Kansas City Chiefs, man. I'm looking at everybody with their nice jerseys sitting there taking a picture. And I'm looking over here at Carl Peterson, Dick Vermeil, and Lamar Hunt. Like we're all just sitting there. And I'm looking at all the coaches and all the players and the practice squad, man. Like that was your family over the year. So that's what guys are going to get into, man, just seeing what their family is going to be for this year right now.
And I'm also sure, like, obviously you were never, being a second-round pick when Philly, and then obviously you being the niche that you carved out for yourself in Kansas City, you were never fearing that you were going to be cut. But as far as, like, from an interest, right, like going over to see that bulletin board, like who made it, like, from more of like an interest kind of thing, seeing who made the team, like if that
of course, that was like one of the things. Going and seeing, who made the cut and who didn't make the cut. But more so, I think I just, when you're soaking it all in, you're sitting over on the bench or in your locker and you see who's not coming in. You start seeing how the lockers get empty. He's like, man, I remember that guy being there. Like, wow, he didn't make it? Like, daggone, he didn't make it either? And so there are some shockers, no doubt about it. Because you thought the guy did everything that it was in his power to get a roster spot, right? To get a roster spot. I think, everybody was looking at ISM. He's been one of the guys is like, man, he's going to make it, right? But the thing is, man, when you're dealing with, the wide receiver group that we had, just kind of alluding to them, that was going to be a tough spot for guys to make. It ended up happening, Andy keeps 7, right? And he's never kept 7 wide receivers before. Now he's got 7 wide receivers, right? Because he's got 7 talented guys that can catch the football. That's the reality. And there's some guys you definitely don't want to let go. You don't want to let a guy like Justyn Ross go anywhere, right? The thing, who you're going to cut. So all those guys are going to be able to produce. They're going to be able to give something. And I think that's in their mind when you're doing an evaluation as far as coaches. You're wondering what a guy's going to give to the team. And that's when you have those 7 wide receivers. That's just telling me he's got a plan in place for each and every one of those guys.
Yeah, and also, man, I think I can't look at the numbers here, but like, when was the last time we didn't have 4 tight ends on the active roster? We only have 3. We only have 3 tight ends, which obviously helps for the fact that you can keep an extra receiver because you're not keeping an extra tight end. So I thought that was really interesting, only having 3 tight ends.
Well, I think I kind of talked about that last week a little bit, is because of, if you're not having a tight end that does a lot of like more of the blocking, and it's just kind of the catching guy, especially if that's where your offense is geared toward, is more of the receiving tight end, and you do have a guy who's kind of a blocker, then why take another roster spot for a guy who's not going to be giving anything to what you do, right? Because that 4th tight end may not be a good tackler. He may not be something that you need on special teams. You just regulate that to a guy who's playing defense, a defender who does a better job at tackling, obviously, because that's his job. But that 4th tight end is just taking a space up, and you don't need it. You don't need a guy like that. So that didn't shock me. I mean, 3 tight ends seems like that's usually what we used to take anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't really run 4 tight ends. So I would have been like, why you got 4 tight ends, right? But no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
A big surprise to some people, we talked about on the postgame show on Saturday. Blaine Gabbert won the QB2 job. Some people were very surprised Shane Buechele didn't even make the roster, not even keep 3 quarterbacks, only keeping 2 on the active roster. Shane Buechele, who signed with Buffalo Bills practice squad this morning. So obviously, you think that was the right move to go Blaine as the backup?
Yeah, definitely. And I said that before, man. You just his veteran presence is something that guys need to know is there, and it's always available. The coaches need to know that as well too, because if you ever get in a sticky situation where you need a guy to come in and win a game, if I'm looking down the bleachers and the bench, I want to make sure I'm looking at somebody who is a savvy vet, who's played the game before, who's been in certain situations, to make sure that he's the one that's going to come out of it. And Blaine Gabbert was that guy for us, no doubt about it. Like I said, nothing against Shane Buechele. Shane had a lot of ability. He's going to take chances. He's fun to look at. But when I'm looking at the consistency and somebody I can say, hey, look, I need to hang my hat. We need to go down here on the drive, or we need to do something. Maybe if it's just heaven forbid that Patrick Mahomes get hurt and he's out 3 or 4 games. Who are you gonna hand the keys over to? My money's on Blaine Gabbert. Yeah. So yeah, we made a great decision on that. I don't think there was any question about it. We got coaches that understand that too, right? Nagy, Reed, all them guys understand. Like, look, you need a veteran guy here who's been in a lot of different offenses, and not only looks the part but can do the part. So that's very important. It's very important to have that.
Yeah, and I remember we said this on the show in April when we signed him. Like, hey, we found our replacement for Henny, and we got some crap from fans saying, "Oh no, Buechele's the guy." And I brought that back up for some people to remember that one. Then look at the running back room. To a lot of Chiefs, which I'm surprised about, but a lot of Chiefs Kingdom surprised. CH made the team. We knew that CH was going to make the team. I don't think we ever thought that wasn't going to happen. But we kept 3 running backs. Some people thought that CH was going to be cut or traded, and they were going to keep P. Ryan as the last as third back. But no, they keep those 3: McKinnon, CH, and Pacheco. No shock there, JD.
No shock there at all. I thought that potentially CEH might be a guy that you could shop if it came up to it. He would be that guy. But I think because of what he's done for the Chiefs in the past, he's had injuries and all those different things that happen. Which is, that's part of the deal. But I think the Chiefs still believe in him, right? They drafted him for a reason, and so they know he's a capable back. I like CEH. I like what he gives to the offense. He's a slasher. You don't have to be every down back, but we're not looking for him to do that. We got a guy in Pacheco who's been doing an amazing job since he's gotten here. And so I think it's a great compliment to McKinnon and CEH. This backfield, man, I think it's going to be in harmony because of those guys. And those guys, all three of those guys kind of know each other. CEH kind of, helped the rank, help Pacheco kind of get to where he needed to, give him a little bit of information. P. Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, he's on practice squad, right?
Yeah.
We got, So, to me, if something happens, right, an injury and all those different things, we got a stash in P. Ryan. We know what we got in him. It's no surprise whatsoever. No shock right there.
Yeah, in agreement with the CEH thing. Yeah, CEH is a nice in-between of what Pacheco and McKinnon provide for us because he can receive the ball in the backfield, and he's a decent runner. So, he's a nice in-between of those two styles.
Well, and the thing is, you give a defense something different to look at, right? It's almost like a hitter in baseball. You get a pitcher, and all of a sudden they get used to the speed of the pitch. Bring in a different reliever. Give him something to look at different, right? It's like, okay, now we got to adjust to his speed and maybe his running style, and that's a good thing. That's a good change of pace that you necessarily need. That's a great point. Definitely, no doubt about it.
And then looking at the defensive side of things, so I thought it was interesting because Snead hasn't been practicing. He's got the knee injury or the swollen knee. They kept 5 cornerbacks: L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, Nick Jones, 7th round pick. Another Veach strikes again with another 7th round gem, it seems like. But then we signed Darius Rush, cornerback from South Carolina. The Colts had him. They cut him. We were apparently interested in him. I think so. One of the websites I still had him Rush to the 65th or 63rd best prospect in this past draft, and we were able to get him 6'1", 198, ran a 4.36 40. So the kid's pretty athletic. What do you make of that? What do you make of only keeping 5 cornerbacks? Does that tell you that they think Snead will be good to go by week 1? Only keeping 5 cornerbacks. I thought they were going to keep an extra one for the fact that Snead might not be ready to go.
Yeah. No, I think that's this. What we see is usually when I was looking at, Snead, he'll be ready. Week 1. It's still one of those things, man. But we got a very talented, group out there. So with the DB safeties, we got some safeties that could probably play, in the slot, could do some of that covering also too. So I think we got a good basis there. And just if Snead has to be out 1 or 2 weeks, our young guys, man, do a tremendous job. I have no problem, no question about their talent, what they're able to handle. Part of why we went through the growing pains last year, right, early on with the young guys, is so they can extend to where they are right now, right? So we found out they could handle it. We found out putting them in the playoffs, they could handle it. So what's better than putting them on a bigger stage and say, look, these guys, they made it. They were able to do the job. And so I think that this speaks volumes to the type of the talent and what they give to the team. Because you want to feel confident in those guys, and those guys have played a wonderful job to this point. They've played this season, so I don't think any of those guys is a question to me. I do like the guy Rush coming in 6'1", 198, 4.38. It's great measurables to me. The guy could do all that. And you said he was 64th, I guess, overall. That's as far as where he was ranked. Shoot, that's a winner right there, man.
Yeah. For sure. I like the Rush pickup. It was one of those rankings I saw online that had the 65th best prospect. Obviously, there's a bunch of different rankings that people have out there, but hey, yeah. I mean, that's it. Knowing what we know about how we've been able to develop DBs and cornerbacks, I think it's a great guy, great measurables to have in the lineup. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.